Hey, how's it going? So today I'm going to show you how ridiculously easy it is to make a nourishing herbal infusion out of red clover. Now, red clover is pretty much one of the common nourishing herbal infusions. I would say that she's more, I don't know, she's got a lot of nourishment in her, but she's almost more like, I don't tonifying maybe than nourishing. She's really good for anybody who's wanting to support their hormone health, who's dealing with cancer or pre-existing cancer, or just wants to reduce the risk of cancer. Red clover is an amazing ally, and I'll jump back into all kinds of stuff about her. But so what you need to make this infusion, now an infusion is basically like really potent and long brewed tea out of any plant ally that doesn't have a whole lot of smell. I should say scent. Because plants have a smell. It smells like red clover, but she doesn't have a scent. So when you think of scent, you think of like chamomile, lavender, mint family, really strong smell. You don't really want to be making nourishing herbal infusions out of those because they have really high levels of volatile oils, which can transfer into the water and it's dangerous. So we work with these simple allies that don't have a whole lot of those volatile oils going on, and we're basically just going to make a big ass jar of tea, except for we're going to weigh it out. So you will need yourself a jar, either a half gallon or a quart. You'll need yourself some red clover, and you're going to need a kitchen scale. It doesn't have to be digital, but it does have to have the capacity to weigh out ounces. Do not eye this, do not guess it. Don't be like, I think a cup is about right. It's not. You really, really need to be weighing your herbs when you're making infusions, because this consistency, this amount of herb, for one, your body wants the consistency, the consistent results. I guess I'm stuck on that word. I'm consistently stuck on words. But also, you really, really need that volume to really saturate the water. So then one thing that's handy that you don't have to have is a canning funnel. I think I remembered almost everything for this video. I probably just knock on some type of wood there. You're gonna need yourself a butter knife. You don't have to have a butter knife, really. I mean, okay. So basically what I'm gonna do first, because I'm making a half gallon, I'm gonna put 2 ounces. So that's 1 ounce per quart jar, or 2 ounces per half gallon jar. And I drink a lot of infusion, and it's not just me in my house drinking infusion, so we typically use half gallon jars. And so I'm gonna turn my scale on. It always fights me. Oh, and I always forget to put that in it. I'm gonna zero my scale. Because you want that to say 0 on there so you know what you're owing. Weighing, there's the word. And then you're gonna put your plant material in there, and I'm gonna weigh out 2 ounces. And red clover is pretty fluffy, so don't be surprised when this jar looks pretty close to full once I'm done filling it. That's also another reason that I like to make half gallons at a time, because sure, you're gonna, you're filling this up half gallon jar, but by the time you put the plant matter in there, and you can only squeeze out so much unless you're using like a hardcore press, you don't really end up with maybe 6 cups of infusion versus 8, so you're shy a few cups. So if you make a quart, you really only end up with like 2.5, maybe 3 cups out of the 4. Okay, so overweight it because I wasn't watching the scale. I was just putting it in there. That's okay. Almost. Now you're going to want to fight the urge to put a bunch of different herbs in here. I see a lot of people do that. They're like, oh, water's boiling. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm just going to put all kinds of infusion herbs into this jar. I'm going to add in, like oat straw, and I'm going to add in this and this and this and this. Well, I'm not saying that won't be a good tasting tea, but it won't be a nourishing herbal infusion because you need this amount of volume per plant to get all of its nutritional and medicinal values to infuse into that water. So if this is like 5 different parts of things, you're really only making mildly strong tea out of each one and just kind of dumped them all together. So you really need to get to know them and use them one at a time. That's not to say if you like a flavor combination, like let's say oat straw and red clover actually go pretty well together, you could make a quart of oat straw and then a quart of red clover, and then you could, once they're done infusing and you strain them, you could put them together, right? Then you'll have the full benefits. So next, after you weighed your plant matter out, you're just going to dump boiling water over top. It is important to use canning jars to do this. Give them a quick look-see to make sure they don't have a bunch of cracks. Make sure that you didn't just get it out of your garage where it's like super cold or anything like that, because you don't want the thermal shock of the hot water to break the jar. I've never had a mason jar break on me when making an infusion, but then again, I follow all those steps. Butter knife. You gotta stir it. If you don't stir it, you will really miss out on quite a lot of water. Look, that looked like pretty full, right? But once I give it a good stir, it's apparent that I can fit easily, what, another cup and a half in there? At least a cup. And that is infusion you wouldn't get otherwise. I almost didn't boil enough water. All the way to the tippy top. Okay, so, is that the one thing I forgot? No, it's right here. Now you're going to cap it. I want you to resist the urge to shake this. That is boiling hot water, and this is a canning lid. If you shake this, it'll go, if you shake it with any type of lid, it'll go hot water everywhere from the pressure. So now, I'm just going to let this sit right here on my counter. I might move it out of the way once it cools down, until it becomes pretty like room temperature, and then I'm going to pop it in my fridge, and then tomorrow morning, actually it's afternoon, it's like 2 o'clock or something like that. Tomorrow at 2, around that time, I will strain her out. Now, the reason that that's important is because this is an infusion that we're relying on the hot water to extract all of her medicinal and mineral properties, right? And so basically the hot water goes in. As it cools, it does an extraction process. Plus, think about like minerals are heavy, right? They take time. They take time to be extracted. It's not going to happen in a minute. And so I'm going to let this sit for about 24 hours. And then when that's done, I'm just going to strain it, which just means to get the plant matter out of the liquid, right? You can use anything you want. I typically, let me find switch over here. I usually take like a funnel and these like little tea strainer things you can buy. And this one can sit inside of that one. And then I put this in another jar, you know, another empty one, and then I dump it upside down into it, and it strains out through. Or this one fits in this inside of this one. I kind of like hodgepodge these all together. But you can use a fine mesh sieve, you can use cheesecloth, you can use a clean bandana if you want to. Whatever allows you to strain this out. So it's really pretty easy. And people ask me, where'd you buy those? I'm like, most of these I got from like random teapots that I bought, or like it just came with a teacup, but you can find them on Amazon. They're pretty cheap, really. Okay, so why do you want to be making this infusion beyond the fact that it's good for your hormones? Well, how about, there's no beyond the fact. She's amazing for your hormones. If you are somebody who is like, has a low libido, has hot flashes, if you're in that stage of your life, if you're just like really tired all the time, hormone imbalances can be a big part of that. Now, I don't really like the term hormone imbalance, because if your hormones were balanced, you would die. Your hormones at all hours of the day are fluctuating through your body, but sometimes one can drop too low or go too high, and she is really amazing at helping us regulate that. Now, she's got phytosterols in her. Probably didn't say that right. Someone's going to get on my ass and correct me. But phytosterols are these amazing substance that are in a lot of the pea family, because she's in the pea family. But she has more than a lot of other in the family. And what happens is when we digest this, our body, like our gut, as we digest it, transforms, there it is, transforms, it's warm, I'm going to move it away, transforms these phytosterols into some really amazing anti-cancer and anti-stress hormones. Now, a lot of people hear, what is the word? It's phytoestrogens. Phytoestrogens cause cancer. Phytosterols fight cancer, right? Soy is packed full of phytoestrogens, and she's in the same kind of legume family. Red Clover is packed full of phytosterols, and she's in the legume family. And that brings me to one thing that people ask me all the time is, will any clover do? Well, no, not really, because some clovers are like really medicinal and healing, and some of them are toxic, and some of them are just, they're all different. It's a very, very diverse plant family, or genus, I should say. And so there's just a lot of differences. Like when I say red clover, I don't mean go out and pick yellow clover and hurt your kidneys. When I say red clover, I don't mean like soy leaf or something like that. I will not consume soy in any way, really. Not even with miso. I get the barley miso. I stay away from the soy at all costs because I personally have had a little bit of a battle with cancer. It's been 13 years now, but I had pre-advanced cervical cancer. It was a whole situation. So I keep soy out of my life, and I make sure that red clover is in my rotation all the time. Now, beyond hormones, she's also a natural blood thinner, so that makes her amazing for cardiovascular health, right? Because the less your heart has to pump, the thinner your blood is, the easier it is for your heart to pump, and then the easier it is on your heart, right? But that also means that if you're somebody that has a thin blood disorder, like not one, like if you can't clot, you should probably stay away from red clover. But if you have a disorder where your blood's too thick, red clover's a good one, unless you're already taking blood thinning medication. Be careful. You don't want to thin your blood out too much. But that also really makes her amazing for like moon time. Like if you are a really heavy cramper or you have really bad clots during your cycle, red clover is fantastic for basically thinning that out. So cramps can be caused by a lot of things, but one thing that they are caused by is you have like thick clots, and you basically, well, maybe they're not the size of your fist. Jesus, I hope they're not the size of your fist. But your cervix has to open to let these clots pass, and it's like a mini contraction. And so if you thin out these clots, it's not as bad. But she's also really good for anybody who's infertile. If there was one infusion, if there was one thing that you should do to try to help your body conceive, beyond making sure that you're eating lots of healthy animal fats and proteins and things like that, it's also drinking nourishing herbal infusions, and definitely including red clover in that, because she really just brings up that fertility. She's really good for like fallopian scarring and issues with the womb, things like that. I've even read where people went and got their tubes tied. They're not actually going in there tiny thing. Typically they're going in there and causing scarring that blocks the egg from coming down your fallopian tube, and the whole biology thing there. But she heals the scarring. So there's people that have been drinking nourishing herbal infusions for a long time or a little while, and they had an implant or something that was supposed to create scarring, and the infusion's like, too bad, I'm here to fix that. But because she does do all that, I unplugged my phone, hold on. Because she does thin our blood. I'm all over the place. I know I am. It's okay. That's all right. It's just who I am. Because she does thin our blood, we have to be mindful not to drink her for more than 3 days in a row. So if I was myself and just drinking this, I'd be making sure I would probably make just a quart if nobody else was helping me drink this, because I don't want to drink her for more than 3 days in a row. That's why you cycle through all different types of infusion, but her in particular, because she does thin your blood. And too long, it's not a good thing, but now and then, it's a good thing for your body. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Okay, she's amazing for cardiovascular health. She's good at thinning blood. She's anti-cancer. She's packed with tons of protein and nutrients besides the Bs. She doesn't really have any B12s or anything like that in her. But she is really good for, stamina. She's really good for, I don't know about digestive health. It's going to drive me crazy. I want to remember it as soon as I get off here. There's one other thing that I wanted to make a point of, not that I haven't made a lot. But anyhow, she is just a really good infusion to include in your herbal journey and taking your health back into your hands. And she is more on the expensive side. I'm going to be honest about that. It can cost upwards of I've seen anywhere between $35 to $45 a pound. And you need to buy her in at least half-pound increments. If not, pound will be cheaper, because you're going to be using 1 ounce to 2 ounces at a time. Now, it is expensive. However, keep in mind that there's 16 ounces in a pound, and 1 ounce makes you a quart. And so you can get 8 gallons. You can get 8 gallons worth of infusion, 8 gallons of a drink. And I know that's expensive, but I guarantee you, whatever fancy coffee you go and drink, that's loaded with sugar and really bad for your adrenals and all that kind of stuff, cost more than $45 a gallon, right? You know, and so think about cost-wise when you break it down. It sounds a lot up front, but when you really, really break down how much liquid that you're able to drink from it, that's really pretty cost-effective. And then you can also do things like herb shares. Like you can find friends, family members, like groups on Facebook, I'm sure, where you can say, look, I need to order like this amount, but I can't, like I need the discount, right? Like, because the more you order, like the cheaper it gets. Usually if you start ordering upwards of 5 pounds of an herb from a reputable larger company that's not just reselling some other company's herbs, you can usually get upwards of like a 20 to 25% discount. And so you can't buy, most of us can't buy 5 pounds of herbs on our own, but you can form this group where you're like, I'm going to pay for a pound, but 5 of us are like going in together, and then we split it up when we get it. We end up only paying like, I don't know, $15, $20 for a pound of red clover. And you know, you save a little bit of money that way. Or everybody could pitch in and buy a pound and split it up and just work it that way. The most important thing for you to know is that you are absolutely smart enough to do this. Are you kidding me? You don't need to pay for a class or take hundreds and hundreds of hours of studying to know how to put herbs in a jar and dump hot water over top. And red clover is so safe that they grow her a lot for lactating and pregnant cows. She's a really common animal feed, and because of that, like, there's a lot of studies included with her for pregnancy. Granted, it's for a cow, but you're an animal too, right? And so a lot of people, a lot of herbalists, including myself, like, she's one that is really good for helping us conceive, but I feel like she also supports our body pretty well during pregnancy and lactation. And so she's just an all-around great herb. And now you're thinking, this all sounds like female type stuff, not really very helpful for men, but I don't think so. I think she's also pretty good for men, and she's going to help. They have hormones too, right? When we think about hormones with men, we were like, oh, testosterone, but they have a lot of other complex hormones, and she can help support that too, and they probably need just as much anti-cancer support and nutrients as we do. So anyhow, you're smart enough to do this. You really, really, really are. And nourishing herbal infusions are a great way to take our health back into our hands. They're a great place to start. If you are an herbalist that's been practicing for a long time, you know you need to be drinking these nourishing herbal infusions. And, you know, it's easy to fall off the wagon. We get busy. A tincture's a little bit easier. And tinctures are great, but they don't have any nutrition in them. But yeah, so if you like me jabbering all about and talking about infusions, make sure to, if you're watching me on YouTube, come find me on Instagram. If you're watching me on Instagram, come find me on YouTube. I share all different kinds of things on both platforms. Make sure to share so more people can get this safe, simple knowledge and learn that they're smart enough too. Like, comment, turn on notifications. All these things are really helpful, not only to me, but to other people. It helps people see my videos and things like that. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.